Good morning, everyone. My name is Luigina Ciolfi, researcher in CultureLabs, representing today the project team at Sheffield Hallam University. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to Cultural Heritage for Social Innovation, Policy and Practice, an event hosted by our CultureLabs project. Over the past 3 years, CultureLabs has explored the role that cultural heritage can play for the social inclusion of communities, particularly migrant communities, and how community participation in heritage and culture can be supported through digital services and tools. Today, we will present some key results from our work and facilitate discussions about its impact and future. In the first part of this event, we will present the really impressive and exciting results of the 4 CultureLabs pilot projects, which used varied cultural participatory approaches to engage migrant and local communities in several countries. And these presentations will be then followed by a discussion where pilot leaders will answer questions from the audience. In the second part of the workshop, which will start later in the afternoon at 2:30 Central European Time after our lunch break, we will present the project's policy recommendations about the role that cultural heritage can play for the inclusion of migrant communities. And a roundtable policy discussion will follow with the participation of a number of distinguished panelists representing different policy levels, countries, and communities' viewpoints. People are welcome to join the seminar whenever they can, so they can leave and join again. We'll try and keep everybody informed of the schedule in the chat, but we please ask you to use the Q&A function on Zoom to submit your questions and requests for clarifications for all presenters. So for this morning, we will have first a series of presentation, which will be followed by a discussion. Feel free to submit your questions as you hear the presentations, and these will then be filtered through our panelists, through our presenters in the second part of this morning's session for discussion. But before we start with the presentation, I would like to welcome and introduce Hinano Spreafico, Project Advisor at REA, the Research Executive Agency of the European Commissions, and the Project Officer of CultureLabs, who would like to say a few words. Hello, Hinano. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Luigina, for the introduction. I'm very pleased to be here with you today. Thank you for the invitation. I have had the opportunity to follow this project since its very beginning, since its selection back in 2018, late 2017. So it has been a long journey since then. Unfortunately, we had even the lockdown that interrupted severely the project activities, especially the pilot last year, and whose face-to-face interaction was crucial. Nevertheless, the project finally continued, and with the support and involvement of several actors and stakeholders, all together we adjusted some activities and you managed to pursue the project objectives. Under this specific topic where the project was funded in the Horizon 2020 program, only one project was selected for funding for a total of nearly 2.5 million euros that were estimated to pilot and launch the activities. The project will end officially this month, at the end of this month, but and it's now the moment to see concretely the result and how well this money was spent. But the activities do not stop here. The exploitation phase has only recently started, and this is where I encourage warmly the entire consortium and the full community to take over the project results, to invest on more resources and activities, and to continue to make it all worth and work as a standard practice. The cultural heritage needs new audiences and support. The society needs to be empowered through co-creation activities to feel better part of it and to play a role in the transmission of cultural heritage. So, the project fundings are now fundamental for relevant actors to modernize their policy and the role. Cultural institutions, museums, cultural ministries are very much in need of innovative and successful solutions that can facilitate the engagement with their community So now we need enthusiasm and commitment to go forward and to make a real social change in cultural heritage. Even the new current program, Horizon Europe, has in its social innovation dimension that is cross-cutting issues in all programs, a very key role by involving the intended users from the very beginning of the project, to listen to them, understand their needs, and benefit from their knowledge and their creativity. The project increases the delivery of the outcomes and the expected impact, and can contribute to shape a better future and build a sustainable, resilient, and competitive Europe for all. So I'm looking forward to the presentations of today's event and to know more about the project results, achievements, and especially also the roundtable discussions to further reflect on how to concretely the policy stakeholders are planning to adopt the methodological guidelines and best practices, and organize participatory approaches to cultural heritage that can have a real social impact. So I thank you again for the work that you have achieved in all these years, and I leave the floor back to you, and I wish you a lot of success for this event and for the way forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Hinano. And absolutely, we really hope that today will be the beginning of further discussions, and that all our work over the past few years will really inspire a greater community to endeavor into participatory activities around heritage and culture. So without further ado, I'll introduce Eirini Kaldeli from the National Technical University of Athens, who is the coordinator of CultureLabs, who will give an introductory presentation about the project's activities. Eirini, over to you.
Thank you, Louis, for the introduction. Hello, everybody. So Hinano already outlined the broader context in which CultureLabs, the CultureLabs project is situated. So funded under the societal challenges pillar of Horizon 2020, CultureLabs explores the role that cultural heritage can play as a vehicle for social change through innovative practices that seek to meet the social needs of communities, and especially communities at risk of marginalization. Such practices for social innovation in the culture sector can lead to improved capabilities and new organizational models, and usually jump out from the collaboration across sectors and people from different backgrounds. And this coming together of people from different sectors and mixing of idea is also reflected in the composition of the CultureLabs Consortium, which includes partners from 6 different European countries, representing universities and research institutes, museums, a non-governmental organization working for migrants integration, organizations affiliated with public authorities, a social innovation lab, and an ICT company. CultureLab's main objective has been to investigate, propose, and test and practice participatory models and methods that create bridges between institutional and communities' culture heritage. And we draw our case studies particularly from migrant and refugee communities, with a twofold aim. On one hand, to enable communities to learn more about their host country's culture heritage by making institutions more accessible and relevant to them, and enable migrants to benefit from the valuable resources, the services, the expertise that cultural heritage institutions can offer. And at the same time, we aim to build positive awareness about the often underdocumented but vibrant and rich migrant communities' own heritage and experience, and engage migrant community members as active partners in culture projects so that they can co-shape culture heritage and what it represents. In the course of CultureLabs, and having this objective in mind, we have conducted a series of research activities, including desk research, surveys, interviews, and focus groups, with the aim to better understand the needs of different stakeholders and the obstacles they encounter in their attempts to build bridges with communities. We spoke with people working at museums, at non-governmental organizations, migrant associations, culture associations, local governments, and other organizations, as well as individual members of migrant communities. And from this analysis, there emerged some common concerns which pointed us to certain directions. There was clearly need for systematization in the way participatory projects are implemented, but also in the way they are documented, so that the knowledge and experience that is gained during participatory projects is not lost, as it often happens even within the framework of a single organization, when, for example, a member of staff leaves. People also express the need to have the ability to reuse and further develop existing work and adapt it to different circumstances depending on their own objectives. And another important observation made by several people was that the legacy of participatory projects often comes down to positive reports about catchy and successful final projects results, while there is often a lack of awareness of what is actually happening on the ground and a lack of self-reflection. So what is actually missing is the how and the insight information, information about the whole process that was followed, including the insights, the challenges, the unsuccesses. So with the aim to help actors to address those needs for systematization, for documentation, knowledge sharing, and adaptability, we have developed an online platform that offers a set of services and resources that aim to streamline and facilitate the collaborative organization of participatory projects. Through this online platform, users can discover helpful resources, which we call the ingredients, and combine them to form recipes for social innovation tailored to their own needs. So let me explain a little bit more what we mean by those concepts that we borrow from the culinary terminology. So a recipe is a structure that is meant to describe how to carry out a participatory project. And this may refer to an already implemented project, an ongoing project, or a project idea. So recipe is characterized by a set of parameters that describe the collaborators, the organizations involved in the project, the target groups, the associated costs, the objectives. And it also describes a set of steps that outline the activities of which the project is composed. And a recipe also comes together with a set of ingredients. So resources which may come in different format, they may be images, videos, documents, links, and that are deemed useful for the organization and replication of the recipe. So they may refer to training material, to digital tools, to policies, to past projects, to cultural heritage objects. For example, the policy brief produced by CultureLabs, which will be presented in the second session of today's workshop, is an example of such an ingredient. A recipe also includes tips, so pieces of practical advice. It also describes the challenges that were encountered and or expected to be encountered and possible ways to address them, and also a set of outcomes. So outcomes could be digital exhibition, images or videos from a physical exhibition, and so on. So what can a user do with the CultureLabs platform? Users can make use of the advanced search functionalities offered by the platform to discover recipes and ingredients using different search criteria. For example, the target group's address, the types of organizations involved. Currently, there are more than 30 fully documented recipes that can be found on the platform that either describe past projects representing good practices or ideas for future participatory projects. And also the platform makes openly available more than 200 various types of ingredients. Through the platform, users are guided through the template that I already described to document participatory projects as recipes, upload associated ingredients, and make it public so that others can benefit from that language. The platform also offers a set of added value functionalities that allow users to collaborate with each other on a common project. So they can set up private user groups to work on a certain project. They can exchange feedback and so on. Moreover, users can reuse and combine elements from different recipes uploaded by other users, make changes and complement them with their own material in order to construct a clone of the original recipe that fits their specific situation. And finally, guests of the platform can also rate public recipes and write their opinions on them. In CultureLabs, we also validate and evaluate in practice how innovative participatory methods and the services offered by the CultureLabs platform can benefit stakeholders through 4 pilot projects. The pilot projects involve different organizations and employ various types of creative interactions with culture heritage to engage different migrant and refugee communities. And the ultimate aim of all the 4 pilots is to promote intercultural understanding and social inclusion. And in the rest of the session, you will have the opportunity to learn more about the pilot projects, the challenges encountered, and all other aspects that constitute a recipe, and see how participatory approaches can be a transformational experience both for the involved institutions and the participants, but also leave a legacy for the broader culture heritage sector and community at large. Thank you.